The hospital stood tall and imposing, cloaked in an eerie silence that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to enter its dimly lit corridors. Nurse Julia, a young woman with a heart full of compassion, found herself drawn into the labyrinth of its haunting embrace. Little did she know that her journey within these walls would plunge her into a terrifying descent into the unknown. From the moment Julia stepped foot into the hospital, a heavy atmosphere hung in the air, laden with a sense of foreboding. The flickering lights cast unsettling shadows that danced along the peeling wallpaper, as if whispering secrets that only the walls themselves could comprehend. But Julia, driven by her unwavering commitment to care for the sick and injured, suppressed the rising unease and pressed on. Night after night, Julia took her post on the graveyard shift, where the hospital transformed into a chilling realm of darkness. The echoing footsteps of her own shoes became a haunting symphony that resonated through the desolate hallways, accompanied by distant whispers that seemed to crawl from the depths of the unknown. As Julia tended to her patients, she couldn't escape the unsettling sensation of being watched. It was as if unseen eyes scrutinized her every move, lurking within the shadows. The patients, too, seemed to possess an otherworldly awareness, their vacant stares filled with an unspoken terror that chilled her to the bone. One fateful night, as Julia ventured into the depths of the hospital's basement to retrieve supplies, she encountered a presence that defied all reason. A cold gust of wind brushed against her skin, carrying with it a faint scent of decay and a whisper that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. "Julia," it hissed, a disembodied voice that sent icy tendrils of fear coursing through her veins. Heart pounding, Julia turned to flee, only to find herself trapped within a labyrinthine maze of twisted hallways that seemed to shift and contort with malevolent intent. The walls closed in, their peeling paint transforming into grotesque faces that leered at her with unbridled malice. Panic consumed her as she stumbled through the nightmarish maze, desperately seeking an escape from the clutches of this unholy realm. Just when Julia's hope began to wane, she stumbled upon a door, its surface weathered and worn. It creaked open to reveal a forgotten room, bathed in an eerie, ethereal light. Relieved, she stepped inside, seeking solace from the nightmare that had engulfed her. But the room held its own horrors. The walls were adorned with macabre paintings that seemed to pulsate with a life of their own. Their grotesque imagery depicted scenes of suffering, torment, and unspeakable horrors that defied the boundaries of human imagination. Whispers echoed through the room, their words laced with a malevolent intent that threatened to consume Julia's sanity. As the room closed in, suffocating her with its sinister presence, Julia's survival instinct kicked in. With a surge of adrenaline, she tore herself away from the clutches of the accursed room, racing through the shifting corridors, desperately seeking an exit from this nightmare. But the hospital seemed to have a malevolent sentience of its own, a dark force that reveled in tormenting those who dared to enter its domain. Each turn Julia took led her deeper into the labyrinth, the walls closing in with malicious glee. Fear and desperation gnawed at her soul as she realized that she was trapped, a hapless victim in a sinister game orchestrated by unseen hands. And so, Nurse Julia found herself ensnared in the clutches of a haunted hospital, her life hanging by a thread as she confronted the horrors that lurked within its cursed walls. What terrors awaited her in the depths of this nightmarish labyrinth? Would she find a way to escape the malevolent force that sought to claim her very soul? Only time would reveal the true extent of the haunting that awaited Nurse Julia in the darkness of the hospital's unholy embrace. Nurse Julia's heart raced as she traversed the twisting corridors of the haunted hospital. The air grew thick with an oppressive malevolence, making each breath a struggle. Whispers echoed in her ears, their sinister voices intertwining with her own frantic thoughts. It was as if the very walls themselves conspired to drive her to the brink of madness. The hospital's spectral inhabitants reveled in tormenting Julia, their presence felt but never seen. Muffled cries, agonized moans, and unearthly laughter echoed through the halls, a chilling symphony that played upon her frayed nerves. Shadows danced and writhed, taking on grotesque forms that seemed to mock her every step. Julia's encounters with the patients became increasingly disturbing. Their once vacant stares now bore into her soul with accusing eyes, their whispers of pain and suffering ringing in her ears. She could almost feel their spectral hands reaching out, their icy touch grazing her skin, a reminder of the torment they endured in life and death. As the nights wore on, Julia's physical and mental exhaustion deepened. The line between reality and the twisted realm of the hospital's haunting became blurred, her mind teetering on the precipice of a frightful descent. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by restless nights haunted by ghastly apparitions and nightmares that bled into her waking hours. Desperation gnawed at Julia's core as she searched for answers, for a way to break free from the clutches of the unseen menace. She delved into the hospital's dark history, unearthing tales of tragedy, malevolence, and forgotten souls condemned to wander its halls for eternity. The hospital had become a magnet for pain and suffering, a vessel for the restless spirits that yearned for release. Driven by a glimmer of hope, Julia sought the guidance of a local historian who held knowledge of the hospital's darkest secrets. In a dusty archive, she discovered an ancient tome that revealed a ritual, a sliver of possibility to quell the vengeful spirits that held her captive. With trembling hands, Julia embarked on the ritual, guided by the cryptic instructions within the tome. She gathered the necessary ingredients: a lock of hair from a deceased patient, a vial of moonlit dew, and a sacred incantation passed down through generations. In the dead of night, within the heart of the hospital's labyrinthine depths, Julia performed the ritual. The air crackled with an electric energy as she chanted the sacred words, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and determination. A flickering light illuminated the room, casting a ghostly glow upon the walls, as if the spirits themselves held their breath in anticipation. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles and plunging Julia into darkness. Panic threatened to consume her, but she clung to the last vestiges of hope. And then, as if by some unseen force, the hospital fell silent. The whispers ceased, the shadows receded, and a profound stillness settled upon the haunted domain. Nurse Julia emerged from the depths of the hospital, her spirit forever changed by the horrors she had witnessed. The once imposing building stood as a mere shell of its former self, devoid of the malevolence that had plagued its halls. The restless spirits had found peace, released from their torment by Julia's courageous act. Haunted by her experiences, Julia vowed to shed light on the hospital's dark past, to ensure that the memory of its victims would never be forgotten. She became an advocate for their voices, tirelessly working to bring attention to the often overlooked plights of the deceased and the lingering hauntings that plagued places touched by tragedy. Julia's harrowing journey through the depths of the haunted hospital served as a stark reminder that not all battles are fought with scalpel and medicine. Sometimes, the greatest healing lies in confronting the darkness within and finding the strength to face the unseen forces that threaten to consume us. Despite Nurse Julia's valiant efforts to bring peace to the haunted hospital, a lingering sense of unease remained. The spirits may have been quelled, but an underlying malevolence still permeated the very essence of the building itself. It was as if an ancient evil had taken root, biding its time, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. Night after night, Julia continued her duties in the hospital, the weight of the past pressing upon her weary shoulders. Strange occurrences persisted, objects moving of their own accord, whispers carried on the wind, and glimpses of shadowy figures darting just beyond her peripheral vision. The hospital seemed to hold its breath, as if bracing for a final, cataclysmic showdown. One moonlit night, Julia found herself drawn to a particular ward, a place she had avoided since the beginning of her haunting ordeal. The air grew heavy with a palpable sense of malevolence, causing the hairs on her arms to stand on end. The ward's door swung open, its rusty hinges groaning in protest as if inviting her into its heart of darkness. Hesitant but driven by an unyielding determination, Julia stepped into the ward. The atmosphere within was suffocating, an oppressive miasma that gripped her throat and threatened to choke out her resolve. The flickering light overhead cast eerie shadows upon the walls, distorting the once familiar surroundings into a twisted nightmare. A voice, laced with venomous malice, echoed through the ward. "Julia," it hissed, its tone a sickening blend of seduction and menace. The source of the voice remained elusive, its origin concealed within the ethereal realm that intertwined with the physical. Heart pounding in her chest, Julia pressed on, her heart aflame with a mix of fear and defiance. She knew that to banish the evil that plagued the hospital, she must confront it head-on, no matter the cost. Each step forward felt like stepping deeper into the abyss, but she refused to be consumed by the darkness that lurked. As Julia ventured deeper into the bowels of the ward, the supernatural activity intensified. The walls seemed to writhe with a life of their own, pulsating with an unholy energy that threatened to tear her sanity asunder. Whispers grew louder, their words laced with venomous intent, taunting her, and attempting to strip away her courage. Finally, Julia reached the heart of the ward, an old, decrepit operating theater. Its walls were adorned with faded bloodstains, a chilling testament to the horrors that had unfolded within its confines. The air grew thick with a stench of decay and an overwhelming sense of impending doom. A figure materialized before her, its form twisted and contorted, a grotesque caricature of humanity. Eyes gleaming with malevolence locked onto Julia, its voice a low, guttural growl that reverberated through her bones. It was the very embodiment of the evil that had plagued the hospital, a spirit corrupted by its own torment. With every ounce of strength she possessed, Julia confronted the malevolent entity. She chanted ancient incantations, armed with knowledge passed down through generations, channeling the collective power of the spirits she had helped to find peace. The room trembled, a tempest of supernatural energy swirling around her, threatening to consume her in its wrath. In a final, climactic surge of power, Julia banished the evil from the hospital. The entity shrieked in agony, its form dissipating into the ether, leaving behind only a chilling silence. The hospital, once a bastion of terror, was finally cleansed, its dark legacy shattered. Nurse Julia emerged from the ward, forever changed by her harrowing ordeal. The haunted hospital would forever remain etched in her memory, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable horror. She would carry the weight of her experiences, a guardian of the forgotten, ensuring that their stories would be told and their spirits forever honored. With newfound purpose, Julia continued her work as a nurse, but now with a deeper understanding of the unseen forces that lurked in the shadows. She became a beacon of hope, a guiding light for those who found themselves entangled in the grip of the supernatural. Her tale would be whispered among hospital staff, a chilling reminder of the hospital's dark past and the bravery of Nurse Julia, who confronted the very essence of evil itself. And so, Nurse Julia's journey through the haunted hospital came to an end, but her legacy would endure, a testament to the triumph of light over darkness, and the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to be consumed by the horrors that lurk in the shadows.
At the end of this video, thank you for listening. If you like the story, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. This increases our encouragement to receive all new and interesting stories from the world of ghosts and mysterious powers.